The new DC Cinematic Universe under James Gunn has officially launched with Creature Commandos. If you've seen Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad, you can expect a lot of the same. Quirky misfits, ultra-violence set to Gunn's favorite music, and some surprisingly heartwarming moments. So with 2 episodes out, let's see what makes Creature Commandos stand on its own. Gunn makes no effort to hide that he's doing Suicide Squad again. Amanda Waller explains she can no longer use human prisoners after the events of Peacemaker, but non-humans are still on the table. If there's ever a loophole, Waller will exploit it. That's where the Creature Commandos come into play, or Task Force M. The Commandos originally debuted in the 80s, bringing together classic movie monsters like Frankenstein, the Wolfman, and more. Think of it like the Monster Squad if they were killing Nazis, or Universal's Dark Universe if it wasn't still there. While this team shares the same name, there's a few oddities and modern updates to the team. Rick Flagg Sr. is the leader of the team. You'll remember his son was killed by Peacemaker in the Suicide Squad. He's responsible for keeping the monsters in line, but it seems he would rather have a reliable team than be the authoritarian brute in control of these prisoners. Nina Mazursky is a fish woman and the most stable of the group. Think Creature of the Black Lagoon or Shape of Water. She originally debuted in Frankenstein, Agent of Shade. After a nuclear accident, a criminal scientist was turned into Dr. Phosphorus, a spooky green skeleton whose touch can burn you and give you an unhealthy dose of the rads. Phosphorus is usually a villain in the DC universe, so we'll have to wait and see how that fits into the story. I don't know how Gunn got so attached to the Weasel, but he's back and allegedly ate dozens of children. But other than that, he's the group's lovable pet goober. G.I. Robot is a robot designed to do one thing: kill Nazis. And it's all he ever talks about.
I do not enjoy landscapes devoid of dead Nazis, Miss Nina.
And I really hope the shtick doesn't get old fast. And then, there's the bride. As in, the bride of Frankenstein, taking her husband's spot on the team. However, Frankenstein's not actually her husband here, which we'll get to in a minute. The witch Circe is a prominent villain of Wonder Woman, and in this show she's rounded up an army of militant dude bros, promising a place on the paradise island of Themyscira, in exchange for taking over the Pokolistan royalty. What's immediately obvious about her army is that they're a bunch of immature, dim-witted male rights activists and chauvinists.
Word is they have the most incredible waterfall. I have this question for all the woke feminists out there. Why do only girls get such cool waterfalls?
Watching the episode, my warning bells went off as I imagined the endless reign of anti-woke critics finding a new bone to chew on. But I think this is more than just a comedic jab at the incel community. In some ways, it ties into the bride's story. She was created from various corpse parts to become the bride of Frankenstein. No shocker there. But in a twist, Frankenstein's monster, here called Eric, is portrayed as an emotionally immature brute. Victor Frankenstein is very much alive. In contrast to the novel, he serves as a patient guide for his corpse son's dangerous, though well-spoken temper. Victor explains his creations come from nothing, and once they are animated, they are frightened, empty blank slates. So depending on how long Frankenstein has been alive, he's basically a child, and the bride is basically an infant once she awakens. She needs to be taught language and socialization, which Eric has no patience for. He claims to deeply love the bride, but seems to only want her physically. In contrast, Victor nurtures and raises the bride. And then they bump uglies, which is creepy and highly unethical for many, many reasons. Out of spite and jealousy, Eric kills Victor. The bride rejects him and flees, beginning a century-long cat-and-mouse game with Eric refusing to just take the hint. Just find another girl, dude. There are plenty of other monsters in the DC universe. Move on, get a hobby, get a life. There's themes here of male entitlement, dehumanization, and the struggle for autonomy. Just as the sons of Themyscira are spiteful towards women and feel entitled to the Amazonians and their paradise home, Frankenstein feels entitled to the bride. And Amanda Waller takes advantage of this team status as inhumans to force them into what is flat-out slavery. From the beginning, we're not even sure exactly what everyone did to end up there. And there's one thing you might notice there, is that many on the team are humans. Nina is stated to be a human with a mutation. Despite looking like a green skeleton, Phosphorus was, and still is, human. The bride is made up of human parts, so who's to say she isn't human? Just like the Suicide Squad, Creature Commandos is operating on a very gray morality. Much of Gunn's superhero works involve seemingly one-dimensional weirdos, whose individuality and humanity shines through with the power of friendship. And I'm seeing Commandos follow the same route. As we learn everyone's backstories, I'm sure we'll learn to empathize with our band of misfits. So far, the bride story has knocked it out of the park, so I'm excited to see what comes next. So, how do I feel about the show itself, the experience of watching it? Again, it's a James Gunn superhero show, but this time with animation to heighten the action and humor. So, there's a lot of stuff that feels kind of expected, even tropey. But despite all that, the action is explosive and fun so far. It's interesting to see how all these wildly different characters handle scrap. And these fights are accented by Gogol Bordello, which I can't tell yet if I like or not. I mean, I've listened to the band before and enjoyed some of their music, but sometimes it does feel a bit forced. Gunn is practically famous for grabbing licensed music and slapping it over a fight. And sometimes it works, sometimes it seems a little slapdash. The fights don't always line up with the music in any meaningful way, it's just there. As for the humor, there's a ton of banter, and this is all necessary for our characters' personalities to bubble up to the forefront. Any good team needs fun dynamics between its teammates. Unfortunately, groundwork has been laid for a painfully grating running joke. The Bukolistanian Royal Guard are big fans of American culture, but only stuff from the 90s like
we pull pranks like Jamie Kennedy experiment. We do the Super Bowl shovel. We like to say, "What's up?"
Obviously, the joke is that these are all outdated, overplayed jokes, and that's supposed to make it funny, but also, you are still just pulling out a bunch of old jokes. I'm sure there are people who will find these retro meme callbacks fun, but that person ain't me. I'm obviously a huge DC fan. I'm excited to see the new DC universe succeed, though these first 2 episodes are a little bit of a shaky start. It seems like this is going to be the kind of series that needs a full season to show off its cast and make some memories and notable moments. So for right now, I'm giving Creature Commandos a 6.5 out of 10. Closer to a 7 than a 6. Thank you.